everyone. It's time again to recap the latest news from the solar PV industry, compiled by the American Solar Energy Society. I'm Jay Warmke with Solar PV Training, and this is what's happening in the wonderful world of solar for the week of May 10th. Grid operator PJM has reopened its standard interconnection process to new generation projects after closing the queue to new proposals back in 2022. Now, during the last 4 years, the regulator has cleared its application backlog and is now ready to begin to look at new projects. PJM Interconnection serves the grid that stretches from Chicago to New Jersey, and they have reported that there were 811 new projects that have applied under this interconnection process that they've reinstituted. Critics argue that the new rules favor natural gas in its interconnection and planning processes. Last year, PJM selected 51 projects for expedited fast track approval to address potential supply shortages, and 69% of these selected projects were actually natural gas. As a result, natural gas projects dominate PJM's new interconnection queue at 106 gigawatts of capacity. Battery storage is next at 67 gigawatts, then nuclear at 17 gigawatts. Solar generation comes in fourth at 15 gigawatts, solar plus storage at 9, and wind at only 5 gigawatts. Based on historic data, only around 20% of the projects in the queue will actually reach commercial operation. Earlier this year, the U.S. Department of Energy changed the name of the National Renewable Energy Labs, or NREL, to the National Laboratory of the Rockies, seeking to signal a shift away from research into renewable energy. Now it's issued its fiscal 2027 budget that seeks to slash $264 million, or 52% of the funding from the nation's leading energy research center. The National Laboratory of the Rockies is not the only target for these budget cuts. The DOE also proposed a 20% reduction for Lawrence Berkeley National Labs, alongside similar cuts to Oak Ridge and Argonne facilities. While cutting the budget for renewable energy research, the DOE has also announced that it's going to be adding about $2 billion in funding for oil, coal, and natural gas. The U.S. clean energy sector set a blistering pace in 2025, with utility-scale solar, wind, and energy accounting for about 91% of all new power capacity added to the domestic grid. This according to the American Clean Power Association's 2025 annual market report. The report further states that these renewable energy projects serve as a significant revenue source for rural America, generating approximately $3 billion in state and local taxes, as well as about $3.2 billion in lease payments to landowners. And the success of the renewable energy industry appears to be continuing despite policy headwinds coming from Washington, D.C. New data from S&P Global Market Intelligence indicates that solar, wind, and storage will account for about 93% of all new power capacity that's added to the grid in 2026. Utility-scale solar remains the largest driver of new capacity, with 43.4 gigawatts planned for this year. That's a 60% increase over 2025 installations. Natural gas accounts for the other 7% of new generation, but net natural gas generation will actually be flat when factoring in older gas plants that will be retired this year. And perovskite silicon solar technology company Tandem PV has begun demonstration manufacturing in Fremont, California. The Tandem PV proprietary technology combines a thin perovskite light-absorbing layer with a conventional silicon cell. By capturing more of the solar spectrum than silicon alone, tandem panels generate more electricity from the same footprint. There's a theoretical limit to how efficient in the real world silicon solar panels can be, and that theoretical maximum is right at around 30% efficiency. For tandem panels with perovskite, the theoretical limit is actually much higher, closer to 45%. The commercial development of perovskite panels has been hampered by concerns that the panels are not robust enough to handle the harsh environments that they'll be facing out there in the real world. Tandem PV claims that these concerns have been addressed by recent research and development progress. Their latest generation high-efficiency panels show less than a 1% average annual power loss. That's a tenfold improvement versus the company's results from just a year ago. Tandem PV is targeting 25-plus year performance, and that is the news from the solar industry for this week. We'll see you next week.